Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Amrys Williams. I'm the Executive Director of the Connecticut League of History Organizations, and I want to welcome you today to our colleague circle about the 2022 Awards of Merit with bonus AASLH Leadership in History Awards information. So thank you all for being here. I just want to quickly introduce the folks we have with us today who will be sort of representing CLHO's Awards of Merit Committee and AASLH's Leadership in History Awards. We have with us Laurie Masciandaro, who's the site manager at Roseland Cottage, Historic New England, and she is also a CLHO board member and our board secretary. Laura Smith, who's archivist at Archives and Special Collections at the UConn Library. She is also one of our board members. And last but not least, Nick Foster, associate curator at Wilton Historical Society. He's CLHO's VP and is also AASLH's state rep for Connecticut. So between the four of us, I hope that we'll be able to answer most of the questions that you may have about both CLHO's Awards of Merit process and the Leadership in History Awards, if you're thinking about that as well. And hopefully this session today will get you thinking about it a little bit. So I put together a few slides and I just want to share my screen so I can show those to you. If you have any questions as we go, please feel free to pop them in the chat. And I'm going to kind of talk through the slide deck and then hand things over to Laurie and Laura if they have anything to add about CLHO's awards, and then hand things over to Nick to talk about AASLH. And I won't really be able to be looking at the chat while I'm going through the slide deck. So just pop it in the chat. And if anybody, Nick, Laurie, Laura, if you see anything urgent that I should address, please just bring it to my attention. Okay. So this is where we are today. So the purpose of the League's Awards of Merit is to really recognize the excellent work that's going on all around us in the state by ourselves, by the institutions we work for, and by individuals. And we want to use this process to sort of encourage and reward that great work, and also provide a stepping stone to other awards programs, NEMA's awards, AASLH's awards. But in addition to patting ourselves on the back and making ourselves feel good and recognizing one another for great work done, the Awards of Merit also have an important advocacy purpose, and that is to really help raise public awareness of the history, cultural, and museum field in Connecticut and how we contribute to our communities, to the knowledge of Connecticut history, to education, formal and informal in the state. I think this is the publics that we serve, but there's also an important public there that I'll talk about a little bit later on, and that's our state representatives. One of the things that you may know from all of the grants that have been coming out of Connecticut Humanities this year is that there's been an incredible investment from the legislature for the next 2 years in the cultural field in Connecticut. And the Awards of Merit represent one of the ways that we can demonstrate to our legislative representatives what we're doing and what those funds are going to support. So I'll talk a little bit about that more later. What's new this year? I basically took our old kind of like two sides of a sheet guidelines information, just sort of information about how to apply to the awards, and expanded it to a multiple page document that really kind of walks you through the process of putting together a nomination, and that I hope addresses a lot of the frequent questions that we receive each year about the awards and how to assemble your packet. So hopefully that will be a really helpful document for all of you. You can find that on our website. And we have just slightly refined the evaluation criteria, and I will talk a little bit more about that later on as well. So as you may remember, so for many years, the CLHO Awards had a number of different categories: projects, publications, educational programs, individual achievement. I think there might have been a fourth or fifth one. Since I've lost track of how many I just counted there. Last year, to really simplify the process, we streamlined that into two simple award categories. one for projects, which really includes most types of public-facing research and interpretive work. This is, things like exhibitions, websites, digital projects, educational programs, preservation projects, research projects, books, publications. Most of the kind of public-facing work that we do at our institutions really falls in this category. Basically, if it's not an individual achievement award, it's a project award. And then there are our individual achievement awards, which are really intended for people who have made significant and long-standing contributions to history at the state level, or at least beyond the local level. And we think of these as kind of like, it's sort of a lifetime achievement award. It doesn't mean you have to be at the total end of your career to receive it. But just to give you a sense of what we're thinking of here, because this is a state level awards program, we're really thinking of this as individual achievement that goes beyond one institution or one locality. And if you want to get a sense of the sorts of projects and individuals who have received awards of merit from CLHO in the past, you can visit our website, where we have a list going back, I think, to 2014 of all recipients. So that is often, I always find when I'm applying or putting together an application for something, it's great to go back and look and see what kind of stuff has received this grant or this award in the past. So we accept nominations from individuals, from history organizations, from cultural institutions in Connecticut. And we really encourage you to nominate your own work in the project category. You can certainly also, encourage, neighboring institutions to apply and nominate themselves. You can nominate other people in the project category. We do find that in general, most of our project nominations are self-nominations, and we really encourage that. We want you to demonstrate what you've done and show us why it's significant and important. In the project category, any project that was completed in Connecticut or by a Connecticut organization within the last 18 months is eligible for an award. For individual achievement awards, the individuals under consideration should, be Connecticut residents and have a track record of significant contributions to history in Connecticut, as I said, sort of beyond the local level. You may not self-nominate for individual achievement. That's the only thing that you can't self-nominate for, sorry. So just to walk you a little bit through the nomination process and the timeline, the best place to go if you're thinking about submitting an award nomination is to visit our website, clho.org/awards. All the information that you need is there. The nomination guidelines, there's a PDF that you can download, but the nomination guidelines are also on that web page as well, so you can read through them on the web if you prefer. And there's a link to the cover sheet, which is basically, the first page of all nominations. Using those guidelines, which, as I said, we've really expanded this year to kind of walk you through the process, you should prepare your nomination package as a set of digital files. And to submit it, you're going to upload it to our Awards of Merit Dropbox. This is a pretty easy process. There's a link on the website there. It takes you to a Dropbox link, and you can it allows you to upload your files. If you have particularly large files like videos or a big set of things, that you want to transfer that to us in another way, so as not to totally fill up our Dropbox, we appreciate that. You can also include links, web links to anything that may be available online. And if you have any questions about that process, you can always contact me directly at director@clho.org if you have any questions about how to submit a particular document. The deadline for submissions is Friday, January 21st. I think that's the first Friday after the Martin Luther King Day holiday. Our Awards of Merit Committee, which I'll talk about in a moment, meets in February, and we send out decision letters in March. And the awards themselves are presented at our annual business meeting and Awards of Merit presentation, which is on a Tuesday in April, I think it's usually around 4 p.m. That date this year is April 19th. The nomination package that you're going to be putting together consists of the following pieces. You're going to have the cover sheet, which you can download from our website. This is basically contact information, the name of the individual being nominated or of the project being nominated, the institution or organization that completed the project in the case of projects, a narrative which in the guidelines walks you through step by step what sections that needs to have and what it needs to cover. We ask for project nominations to submit a budget for the project itself. And I want to make clear that we don't ask for the budget to, sort of say like, how much money were you able to get to do this project, but what you were able to do with the funds that you had. We also ask, and this is quite important, for 2 letters of critical evaluation. And this is for all kinds of nominations, both project nominations and individual achievement nominations. I want to talk for a moment about these because I think it's one of the things we get the most questions about. And I've tried to address this a lot in the guidelines, is sort of how to think about the letters of critical evaluation. But I think, one of the things that I would recommend is thinking about, especially, as you think about submitting CLHO Awards of Merit nominations as a part of your process, as your organization does exhibits or, plans programs or things like that, to invite people who you think would be able to offer a good comprehensive evaluation of that project, and sort of make it a part of your process to invite people who have some knowledge in the area of the subject matter, or a colleague from a neighboring institution, someone whose opinion you value, who has some professional ability or knowledge that would enable them to evaluate the significance of the project under consideration, or of the work of the individual under consideration for award. So this should be someone who is not affiliated with the institution or individual being nominated, someone who doesn't benefit either directly or indirectly by that individual or organization receiving an award. So not really an interested party. Often we get letters of support from like a town official or something like that. And while that's all well and good to have, someone in your town who's like, I went to this exhibit and it was really great and I enjoyed it, we don't really see that as a very helpful evaluation of the significance of the project, unless that person happens to have, like deep historical knowledge of the subject matter, or another set of qualifications that would allow them to evaluate it as a work of public history. And if it's a town official for your town historical society, it reflects well on them if their town historical society has run an award. So there's a sense of interestedness there. So, we're always happy to field questions about, who's sort of a good person to write a letter of critical evaluation for an award of merit. But I've offered some good examples, hopefully, in the guidelines. I think the project or individual under nominate who you're nominating should inform your choice of who you might want to approach to write letters of critical evaluation for the project. So you'd want someone who has some knowledge of this subject area or subject matter, because those are really the most helpful sorts of letters for us. Someone who can really give us a sense of why this project or individual's work is significant in that way. We don't ask you to send these and to have, blind straight to us. You can ask the person, they can send their letter to you and you send it as a part of your package. That's the simplest process for us. But you should think about it as you might think about letters of recommendation for, a grad program or a job or something like that, where you might be asked to submit those blind. Again, we're not asking you to do that. But I think that's sort of the mentality you should be thinking about, and what we mean when we're saying sort of letters of critical evaluation. As I said, we're happy to field questions about this if you have them. We also ask you for any supporting publicity for the project or for the individual's work, if you have that available. This could include, media coverage. It could include, newspaper articles, social media buzz, your own marketing for the project, how it was covered and received by the public. And documentation, which is really in many ways, one of the most critical pieces of your nomination package, because this is where you're able to piece together a bunch of documents or web links or testimonials in the case of individual merit, individual achievement nominations, to really help the members of the Awards of Merit Review Committee experience the project or understand the significance of that individual's work and contributions. So we offer more guidelines in the guidelines document about what this should look like. For exhibits, it should be, like a floor plan, photographs of the exhibit, examples of representative labels, and exhibit script. So we can get a sense, even if we haven't been to the exhibit ourselves, of what it would have been like to visit it, and what the interpretive content was like, and how the public might have received that. And so I think, if that's the sort of thing that we're looking for an exhibit, you can kind of think of what that might look like for the different kinds of projects. In the case of a publication, we want the publication. If it's a print publication, we ask you to send 2 copies of the publication to the CLHO office. We also are happy to accept, PDF proofs or other things, digital versions of publications, because those are honestly quite easy to circulate among the awards committee, because we usually don't get together in person until February, when we are gathering in person, and I expect our meeting will be virtual this year. Again, if you have any questions about any of these pieces that aren't addressed in the guidelines, I invite you to contact me and I'll be happy to address them. The Awards of Merit Committee so how do we evaluate these? The committee is comprised of at least 5 history and museum professionals from around the state. And the committee includes members of CLHO's board, as well as other individuals out in the field who are recruited by Laurie and Laura, our committee chairs. And when crafting the committee, we really try to bring together people with different areas of expertise and who have experience working at different sizes of institution, because we get nomination packages from all different sizes of institution, and the sorts of capacity at different institutions is different. We always try and think about that in evaluating our award nominations. We're in the midst of finalizing our committee for this year, I'll just say, and we're hoping to put more information up about the composition of the committee on our website once it's finalized. And to open up the, pull back the curtain a little bit more, you'll find this on our website as well and in the guidelines document, but I just wanted to share with you the evaluation criteria that we ask our Awards of Merit committee members to consider when thinking about each nomination. And I just want to highlight that we've sort of added one this year as a part of our efforts to advance diversity, equity, inclusion, and access in the cultural field. And that is, does this nomination do any of that work? So that's sort of the only major change in the evaluation criteria. I've refined the wording on a few of them, but other than the addition of that question, these evaluation criteria are pretty similar to what we've used in previous years. So, it's obviously good to take a look at these evaluation criteria as you're assembling your application, because ways that you can address that in your narrative are always helpful to us. So if you receive an award of merit, what happens next? So we invite you to our Awards of Merit presentation and reception at our annual business meeting, which, as I said, will be on April 19th this year. We don't yet know whether this is going to be an in-person or virtual event. We're hoping for in-person, but I do not yet know sort of the disposition of that. So stay tuned. We also ask you to publicize your award and contact your state representatives to let them know that you've received a CLHO Award of Merit, and also to extend an invitation to them to come to the awards presentation, whether it is in person or virtual. We had at least a couple of state reps attend last year to our virtual presentation, and that was really rewarding. And again, this goes back to what I said at the top about the importance of the awards process as a piece of the advocacy that we should all be doing all the time to make our legislative representatives and our publics aware of the contributions that we're making to our communities. So we ask you to participate in that, and we offer you some kind of template language for doing that kind of outreach to your legislators. You'll receive your framed award certificate either at the event on April 19th, if we have it in person, or via mail a little later, probably in the summer, possibly the fall. Sometimes it takes us a long time to assemble those and get them out to everyone. But we're really hoping to be able to do this in person this year. So stay tuned. Nobody knows yet, right? And once you have your beautiful framed award certificate, you can hang it on the wall in your institution or in your office for all to see. So again, if you have any questions about this process, the first place you should go is the Awards of Merit website on the CLHO website. Check out those guidelines, check out the list of past awardees. You're welcome to talk to other people who have submitted nominations in previous years. It's always good to think about them as resources, your colleagues in the Connecticut history community and museum community. And, those are exactly the sort of people that you can think about as good letter writers for your letters of critical evaluation. And I guess that's another thing that I would add about the letters of critical evaluation is they're your opportunity to really build that network, that professional network and, of colleagues who are doing this work. And you can do them that favor in another year when they have work that they want to nominate. So it really helps build those connections among institutions as well. And again, if you have any questions that aren't addressed today or in the guidelines or on the website, you're welcome to reach out to me at director@clho.org and I will address your questions. I want to take a minute and just see if Laurie and Laura have anything to add to what I've presented here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Laura Smith at UConn. And I just want to say, Laurie and I have been head of this committee. We've been on the committee for many years now, and she and I have been head of the committee for the last few years. And I just want to say, it's just such a pleasure being exposed to these, learning about these projects that people around the state have been doing, getting to see all the work, all the creativity that people have poured into these projects. Often we hear about public response to the project, and it's very gratifying, to the creators of the projects, knowing that that the public is responding to them, and we love that. We love knowing about that. I don't know if Amrys mentioned this, but there is no minimum or maximum of projects that we will accept for awards of merit, meaning we don't have like a certain number. When we get to 20, then everybody else is knocked off. It's solely on a project by project basis. If we get 20 projects, we could give out 20 awards of merit, or if we get 20 projects, we could reject. I'm kidding.
That's not going to happen.
But what I mean is that there is no limit. We have no limit as to the number of projects that we will accept in any given year, and it's just a delight. It really is such a great exercise. It's a great committee to be on. Frankly, we're always looking for new members every year. So if you have an interest in being a member of the board of CLHO or being on this or any other of our committees, let Amrys know.
Yes, thank you so much, Laura. Those are really important additions. I think I was so focused on process and advice. It's important to take that step back to 30,000 feet and talk about how fun it is to review these nominations and to see the great work that's going on around the state. Especially, I think during COVID, it has been especially rewarding when we haven't been doing as many site visits and, seeing one another's work as often. So I think last year was a special joy for the awards committee and to really see the great work that was going on, especially in response to the pandemic. And what Laura said about the awards being non-competitive is really, really important. Like the Connecticut Cultural Fund operating support grants, it's not that there's like a certain number of, of these awards that we can give out. It's a little different from that, I guess, because they had a set amount of money. But, it's not that you'll automatically get an award. It's just that we give awards to all projects and individuals that we deem worthy of an award. Laurie, go ahead.
I just want to echo, of course, what you and Laura have said, but I also want to suggest that it's always a good idea to kind of think ahead about letters or that you may want, people you may want to have nominate or write letters for you, because so many of the things, if not all of them, will be exhibits or projects that have already taken place and are closed. And now you say, wow, this was really great. Gosh, I wish I'd had this person come look at it. They'd write a terrific letter. So while this doesn't apply necessarily to this year's awards, I think it's always a good idea to be thinking about projects that you're doing that you may want to nominate or somebody else might nominate, and make sure you get the people through there that can provide those critical letters of evaluation. And I don't believe they have to be finished projects. I know in our guidelines, it says they must be completed within the past 18 months, but I don't think completed means they have to be done and over with. It just means they have to be completed to the exhibited. Yeah. Thank you.
Executed. Yeah, that's great. I'm making notes for edits to next year's guidelines and slideshow right now. Thank you. Now let me hand things over to Nick Foster, who's going to say a few words about AASLH's Leadership in History Awards. One of the things I'll just mention that we do as a part of our process is, you know, if we see particularly stellar nominations or things that we think, you know, should go on to another awards process, we'll kind of, you know, give Nick a tip off. And, you know, he has the ability to sort of check out the Awards of Merit nominations and go over those, and may reach out to you if he sees a particularly, you know, if he wants to encourage you to apply for these as well. You don't need to wait for that if you want to apply yourself, but I just wanted to let you know that thinking about the CLHO Awards as a stepping stone to the AASLH Awards is a part of our process, and we try to incorporate that into how we work. Nick, go ahead.
Thanks, Amrys. So as Amrys mentioned, I'm Nick Foster. I am the state representative for the Leadership in History Awards for AASLH. And essentially what the Leadership in History Awards are is, for better or for worse, the awards of merit at the national level for AASLH. It is a non-competitive application process like the awards of merit. So if they get 500 applications, they will review 500 applications and award them on a sort of a case-by-case basis. Last year, AASLH handed out 39 Leadership in History Awards, and Connecticut was lucky enough to have 2 of them. So we are definitely in the running for this. So it came from, one was the state library, but another one was a small museum in Richfield. So if you're thinking about applying at a national award, don't be worried that your institution is small enough, or your project is too small. Really encourage you to apply.
Yeah, and I think both of those, Nick, were also CLHO Awards of Merit winners. So
yes,
it was, again, a part of the stepping stone process.
I believe they were. So for the application process, same thing, you can self-nominate. The process is very similar to the CLHO Awards of Merit process, which I know is somewhat by design. And so there is a narrative section, budget, sort of letters of critical evaluation, sort of everything you'd expect. There's a few differences, nothing major. One of the big things AASLH really strives for in their application process is, how is this good history? And you'll see a statement on the application process of what that means. Essentially, it's, how are you sort of taking history above and beyond from sort of the normal everyday operations of a museum? How is this sort of pushing history to the next step, or sort of to the next level? And if you choose to apply, we'll talk about that a little bit more once you get the application process going. So the submitting a nomination, the deadline is a little bit later than CLHO's. It's March 1st, unless it is a publication, in which case it's February 1st. The application is pretty much similar, but they want publications ahead of time so they can read through your lovely publication. If you have a 600-page book, they need a little bit extra time to review things, especially because I will probably be reading your book, so I would also like it ahead of time. But the nice thing about the one difference between AASLH and the Awards of Merit is that you have a chance, once your application is submitted March 1st, you have a chance to edit it. So my job as state rep is I will get your application. I will look through it, sort of evaluate it based on what you've sent. And if there's something that needs to be tuned up, or you're missing something, or something isn't quite right, I can go back to you and say, hey, I think if you made this change or made this edit or added something else, that would really help round out your application. Actually, that happened last year. One of the awards, the letters of critical evaluation were a little lacking. They didn't come from sort of scholars. They were just sort of local people in the town. And myself and the regional rep said, you know what, your application is really strong. We love this project, but I think you can do a little bit better on the critical evaluation letters. And they went out, they actually approached a professor at Sacred Heart University, if I remember correctly, it was a year ago, who wrote them a wonderful letter, and they ended up getting the award. So that's one of the things about the AASLH Awards that's great. You know, the nice thing is we really want you to get the awards. It's really great for Connecticut to be able to say, hey, you know, we're getting these awards, and to have 2 of 39, you know, for a small state like Connecticut is really great to see. So we want to see you succeed in getting these awards. So you'll have some time to make some edits, and then the applications will go out once sort of everything is finalized. I believe I send them out at the end of April, and then you'll hear back sometime probably in the midsummer. I think the sort of regional delegates meet in mid-July. Not important for you to know. So you'll probably know your application status sometime in the late summer, early fall, in which case they'll be invited to sort of a big ceremony for all the award winners. So as you can imagine, for a national award, it is a little bit more competitive than the Connecticut Awards of Merits. They're really looking for special projects, but you don't lose anything by applying. So I encourage everybody, you know, if you're curious about it, if you're not sure you want to apply or not, please send me an email. My email's up on the screen. I've been through this process before, so I kind of know what we're looking for, and I can really help, you know, even before March 1st deadline, if you need help crafting your nomination, please do not hesitate to reach out. That is my job. I'm here to help you give the best nomination possible. So my email's there, and if you ever forget, always email Amrys or CLHO, and I'm happy to help you out. So really looking forward to seeing applications, and I might be reaching out to you individually. Again, as Laurie and Laura said and Amrys said, you know, if they come across something in the application process for this year that they're like, wow, this was a really, you know, kick butt project, I might be reaching out to you guys to say, hey, consider this, because again, it only helps the prestige of your organization and Connecticut as well. So we're really excited to get nominations. So happy to answer any questions, or if we're just doing a general Q&A, I will be here.
Great, thank you, Nick. And you can also find Nick's contact info. He's on the list of state reps on the AASLH website, so you can find it there as well. I'm going to stop my screen share, and I think now is a great time to kind of open things up to you know, general questions about either process, either awards process. We're here to help you, and like Nick said, I couldn't have said it better. You know, we're really here to help you put together the best nomination that you can. We want you to get these awards, both the CLHO's awards and the AASLH's awards. So please let us know how we can help you do that. We didn't possibly cover everything. Okay, great. Okay, well, Adrian says we did a great job covering the process, so I'm glad to hear that. Thank you, Adrian. Eileen, hi, Eileen, how are you doing? I haven't seen you in forever. Can an organization only submit one self-nomination? No, you can submit more than one. Yeah, go ahead. Nominate everything you want to nominate. Go for it. There's
That
no
goes for
limit.
AASLH as well. Actually, there was an organization in Idaho that won 2 awards last year for different projects. So AASLH as well, you can nominate as many things as you want.
Okay, is there anything anybody else wants to talk about? Because I'm feeling like we don't have any questions. Well, this is good. I'm hoping that everyone who is here today is going to submit at least one nomination. Lynn asks, is it possible for someone to visit a place of interest? Can you unmute yourself and just explain what you mean by that, Lynn? Hi, Lynn. I know we've emailed. It's nice to see your face.
Thank you. What do I mean by that? It's a very complicated answer, but it involves a museum.
Mhm.
And I certainly have lots of pictures of it, but I didn't know if it would be helpful for someone to come and actually see what I'm talking about. This is in reference to my uncle.
Uh-huh. Okay, so you're asking if we do site visits as a part of our evaluation
Yes.
process?
Yeah,
You know, I don't, yeah. I'll let Laura and Laurie field this. I mean, I think
Okay.
we don't, in my 2 years going through this process so far, we haven't done explicit site visits as a part of the process.
Okay.
Sometimes we have, you know, a member of the committee has happened to have seen one of the nominated exhibitions in person or something like that. But we don't have systematic site visits as sort of a part of our process.
Okay.
But this is, you know, you ask a really important question about documentation, right? How would you document, you know, in your case, the creation of this
right.
museum, what it includes, what its interpretation looks like. And, you know, the things that I would suggest are, you know, offering information that would help the committee understand the significance of the site, of the museum, of the work that it does. How are you open? How many visitors do you get? Where do they come from? What does the museum do? What does it look like? What is its mission? What do the labels look like? You know, it would be similar to doing documentation, I think, for an exhibit, but you're doing it more for, you know, like why this museum and the work of this individual to create this museum, if I'm understanding you correctly,
Yes, you
is
are.
a significant contribution to Connecticut history. So those are the sorts of things that I would suggest. You know, maybe I don't know, has like some scholar come and written an exhibit review for one of the public history publications or a publication in the field, like maybe an exhibit review or a museum review of the site would be a great piece of documentation to include or something like that. Laurie, do you have any other thoughts about this?
I would just reinforce what you said. We've never done a site visit in the 4-5 years that I've been on the committee, 4 years. I think it would be, particularly right now, something that might be a little bit difficult to arrange. But just what Amrys said, the documentation, I think through photographs or videos, and then other people's response and public's response and things like that.
Yeah, and I would say anything that you can do to like demonstrate like what the interpretive approach and strategy of the museum is would be really helpful. So what do the cases look like? What do the labels of the objects look like? You know, interpretive text, other things that frame that stuff so we can get a sense of the story that the institution is trying to tell.
Perfect.
Laura, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Yeah, of course, I agree with what Amrys and Laurie have said. You know, unfortunately, we all work full time and we couldn't make a site visit to every project that applies, or see every exhibit. So we're kind of relying on you to describe it in such a way that we feel like we're there, that we understand the reason it was formed, its significance, etc.
Yeah, that's great. And I think your question, Lynn, really underscores the importance of what I was saying around documentation earlier. The documentation part of the nomination package is so critical for the committee to really understand this, you know, what it is that's being nominated, the achievements of the individual, the interpretive approach of the exhibit, what the digital project is trying to do. I mean, you know, for a website, your documentation is going to be the website, right? For an individual achievement award, it's going to be the person's CV or resume and information about what they've done, and maybe some testimonials, and in your case, more information about this institution that the individual has started and sustained. So it's going to look different for every kind of nominated work or individual, but you know, I think your question really, and our response to it really illustrates the importance of helping give each member of the review committee the experience of the nominated work. And as you put together your application, if you have any other questions, please feel free to get in touch with us. I know that we've had a little bit of an email exchange about this, so I hope that we've answered all of your questions preemptively.
Yeah.
Great. Anything else? We've still got like 15 minutes left, so I can end early, but class dismissed. But I don't want to. I want to leave room for any questions that you might have. Okay, well, I'm seeing people sign off, and I'm not seeing a lot of burning questions from folks. So I think we can, Laura, Laurie, Nick, we can all give ourselves a great big pat on the back because we did such a fabulous job. Thank you, everyone who was here. And again, like I said, I really hope you all submit nominations to us. You know, when I said to Laurie and Laura that we had 34 people registered, and they were like, I hope we get 34 nominations. And Laura was like, I don't know. We welcome the work. It's one of the things that is really most rewarding about this committee, especially, is this chance to really get a kind of tour of what's been going on in the state in the past year and change. And I want to say as well that if anyone is interested in participating in the committee in future years, or perhaps even this year, I don't know what our cutoff would be, my esteemed co-chairs, but this is a really great way to, test the waters, get involved with CLHO if you're interested in doing that sort of thing. We really would welcome more voices on this committee. And so please be in touch with me or with Laura and Laurie if you have interest there. Thanks for being here today. Thanks to Laurie, to Laura, to Nick for sharing their expertise, and to all of you for being here. And I hope to see you next week at the Museum Makeover Info Session, Friday at noon. We're talking about a new program that CLHO is launching in cooperation with Connecticut State Library's Conservation Connection to go out and do those kinds of site visits and refresh interpretation and collection storage at institutions around the state. There's an application process, but if your application is approved, then you get some funds to help implement the recommendations from expert curators who are going to be going around. And you also get a free consult with a marketing expert to help you advertise the improvements that you've made. So it's really all about enhancing the visitor experience at history institutions and museums around the state. We hope you'll join us next week to learn more about that new program. Until then, I'm Amrys Williams. I'm CLHO's Executive Director. It's great to see you all. Have a wonderful holiday. I hope you've been enjoying the dusting of snow and feeling festive, because I know that I certainly have. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.